Okay. Okay, all set. Okay. So we are on session 4, 1st of October. And what we are going to cover today is this. The green highlighted ones are the ones we have already done. And module 4 is process of training evaluation and models for evaluation. So this is what we are going to cover today. Now, with regards to models for evaluation, there are many. So this class itself will take, this particular topic itself will take 2-3 classes. Okay, so next we will cover module 5, module 6, 7. So this will be part of the entire 10 number of classes that we have. Okay, to start with, process of training evaluation. Now we know that training evaluation is an ongoing process, pre, during, and post. But having said that, when we talk about the models of evaluation, we are mainly focusing on some aspects of during and primarily the post-training evaluation. Okay, so if you see here, we have already covered step 1. We had discussed in one of the sessions before, identifying purposes of training evaluation. Okay, so this is the main understanding that one must have before we conduct any sort of evaluation, training evaluation, pre, during, or post. Why are we doing what we are doing? Okay, why we are doing evaluation of training program. Next comes the step 2. Step 2, when we are focusing on the post-training evaluation, step 2 is which training methods or models we want to apply to evaluate the training interventions. Now, it can vary depending on the training objectives and the training intervention types that you are having. It can be a blend of training interventions, right? To have the maximum impact or the learning teaching experience. So the most widely accepted and used method for training evaluation is the Kirkpatrick model. While we will discuss on Kirkpatrick model at length, we will also be discussing about, there are some 6-7 other models that we will discuss also. 1 or 2 of them I will give you all for a teach back activity. Remember, in the retention pyramid, we saw that the maximum retention happens when you have an opportunity to teach back. So we will have 1 or 2 such methods where we will have this approach of teach back. So I will give you the topic and you will come back to the class and then share your insights and perspectives and experience to all of us. That's how we will also learn deep when we are delivering. Okay, so this is what we are going to do with respect to step 2. Then comes the step 3, where in the process of evaluation, there would be a lot of times that we want to collect data. Now, how do we collect data? By the help of certain tools and instruments. So we will see which are the different types of qualitative and quantitative tools that we can use. It can be one, it can be all of them, or it can be just something which is relevant for your training program or training objective. That you have to pick and choose. Collecting the data and then analyzing the data and making report. So these are typically the steps for training evaluation. Now let us just get into a little bit detail into the steps. So as we first discussed, purpose, we must know why we are evaluating any program. What specific skills, knowledge, behavior of the participants they have acquired and improvement has happened as a result of the interventions. Then also choose appropriate evaluation method that align with the training objectives. Could be Kirkpatrick or any other. It can be a blend as well. Designing quantitative and qualitative tools. So what are the different options that we have? We already know some of them, but this could be other examples as well. So quantitative tools are surveys, experiments, observation inputs, content analysis, statistical software. I have some examples here. We will also discuss as we move forward. SPSS are, these are open source. R is an open source. Excel, very popular, widely used again. So we can use all of these tools. Online analytics tools, for example, Google Analytics, you can use it for website traffic assessment and so on. Scales and rating scales, for example, Likert scale. So when you submit or get certain data as part of the need analysis or submit certain feedback, you will see sometimes there are Likert scales which you are filling up. Or you can also apply in your own training programs. Biometric data collection. Again, it is dependent on the type of or the nature of the training program. Structured interviews, questionnaires. So these are typically some options that I have shared with you. Qualitative tools, some examples are here again. In-depth interviews, focus group discussions. These are the qualitative tools. Participant observation points, behaviors, and so on. Field notes, written records of observations, reflections, interactions. Then content analysis, textual content, visual content, audio content. So analysis of all of that. Case studies, narrative analysis, coding, thematic analysis. So there is something called thematic apperception test, TAT. Okay, so we can use all of this. So this particular example is given with respect to research organizations, okay, education research, market research, who are doing some cultural studies, environmental studies. They can make use of this particular tool, coding and thematic analysis. Diaries and journals, photo voice. Participants can use photography to express their experiences and perspectives. Ethnographic tools, again, cultural models. And additional software tool is also mentioned here, which is part of the data analysis. So we have to find out which you want to use depending on your organization training programs. Okay, it's not everything, but these are certain options only. Okay, Chandra, I'll take your question a little later.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Then after we have used these tools, depending on what you want to apply, you are gathering the information. So all these tools are mainly to collect data. Okay. Some variations could be who, in the sense variations means the fields could be who, when, where, why, how. Some could be open-ended, some could be close-ended. As much data as possible you are collecting by these tools. Then what you do is you analyze the data. Okay, so analysis of data happens pre-training, during, as well as post-training. So these tools can be used anytime, pre, during, post. Okay, so post-training, when you are using these tools, you are understanding the effectiveness of any training intervention or coaching intervention or simulation intervention, any kind of blended approach that you have taken, effectiveness or efficacy of that. Look for trends, patterns, areas where improvements are needed. Okay, so what has worked well, what has not worked well, okay, where you need to make improvement, what you need to continue. So all of this you have to analyze, take a decision. So these are the steps generally what you do when you are analyzing the data. Okay, compare results to the training objectives which you had set previously. Compare the evaluation results to the initial training objectives and goals. Determine what has been achieved, okay, with respect to the intended outcomes. Then what you also have to analyze is identify the strengths and weaknesses. Identify the strengths of the training program, areas where it fell short. Pinpoint specific aspects that worked well and those that require improvement. Share the evaluation findings with relevant stakeholders. So you have to now share the findings and give your recommendations. Okay, so you need to share this with the trainers, the participants, organizational leaders, the stakeholders. We have learned about the different stakeholders. Whoever is there in this ecosystem of your training program, you have to go back and inform them about the findings, evaluation findings. Provide feedback on what went well and offer recommendations for enhancements. But then you have to also document it. So report preparation and documentation is also part of the process. Create a formal report summarizing the training evaluation process, findings, and actions taken. Maintain this document for future reference and accountability. And then now you are taking certain decisions based on your document. So use this evaluation results to inform strategic decisions about future training initiatives, resource allocation, and further organizational development. Now you see there is an or option also. Now what you can do is, you suppose run a series of training programs with, say, multiple batches. Okay. Now, before you are going to generate this report, or rather, before you are actually getting into the step 8, okay, providing feedback and recommendations to the respective and relevant stakeholders, what you can actually do is, after you have done this step, okay, you have done an initial analysis. So after point 5, after point 6, after point 7, okay, what you can do is, before point 8, you can make again certain improvements. So suppose you want to just take one particular topic. You have run, say, 10 topics in a series with 5 batches. Okay. Now, what you want to do before you actually share the feedback with anybody, okay, or prepare a concrete report, okay, of the findings, what you do is you run with basis on the report that you have got. Okay, you are not sharing with anybody now. Basis on that report, the inputs that you have received, you can redesign rather, I would say, re-engineer, redesign, okay, for one topic out of those 10 topics that you have already run. One topic, you are re-engineering that basis on the inputs that you have received, okay. Make those improvements, necessary improvements, wherever, revising the content, adjusting the delivery methods, modifying the training materials, whatever. And then you can rerun this program with, say, one batch and see how it has been received. Not in terms of just the reaction, the learning, which is part of the Kirkpatrick, learning, change in behavior or transfer of learning at the workplace. People are making some improvements in terms of what is the result achieved, the metrics. So if you remember, we have been mentioning that you should have the metrics, what you want to achieve, clearly in your mind before you actually design and develop the materials. Okay, that metrics, what you want to achieve, it should be clear before. Okay, so now you have to see what change happened with this small improvements. Okay, and then what you can do is you can repeat the process. You can evaluate again this intervention, what you did, reran the program. You again run the feedback, find out what the inputs are. Okay, repeat evaluation, do the analysis, and then finally you prepare a document. There would be 2 parts to it. One, you actually run the entire program, and then with the improvement, what changes you saw, and your recommendation going forward, and then the decision making going forward. So this can be done before you actually prepare the final report, and then share it with the relevant stakeholders. So this could be another option. This is plan B. The previous one is plan A. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, that it's an ongoing process and it helps organization optimize their training efforts and ensure that they are investing in programs that provide value and contribute to the achievement of the organizational goals. Now, before I move on with the case study, Chandru had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I just wanted to ask you about one particular terminology that you showed on your slide. Was
Which
the thematic analysis.
Correct.
I'm not very familiar with that. Can you please elaborate?
Okay, so it is mainly used for research organizations. I've mentioned here educational research, market research, cultural studies, environmental studies, medical research. So these organizations are mainly making use of the thematic analysis. It's categorizing and coding data into themes to identify patterns.
I see. Okay, so it's basically
Okay, so
trying to analyze patterns.
Say patient data, right? And then you have department in medical research, right? You have multiple departments. And
correct.
medical, each department will have a whole lot of patients, the trend, the pattern, so generally what happens is, if you consider example like Manipal Hospital, or if I consider another example of, say, Kaveri Hospital, just taking an example. Okay, Manipal is there for several years and it's doing exceptionally well. How? Because they have been doing so much of research. They have been trying to understand the behavior, patients opting hospitals, right? The behavior, like we say, the consumer behavior, right? On the retail outlets, right? What is the consumer behavior? We understand them, right? Where there is a maximum footfall, why there is a maximum footfall, right? So they get an understanding of all of these patterns and trends. Okay, so this is just one example. So likewise, all of these research organizations are making use of that data to kind of, making certain decisions, policy changes, sales strategy changes, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we must study how these organizations are using thematic analysis separately as part of your interest. But if you belong to this organization, a research organization, then, and if you are not using this particular tool, then you might explore and want to use it. Okay, so that's the purpose of mentioning it here.
Nice. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Ma'am, I have one more question. If you can kindly share light on point number 11, that is ethnographic tools. Yeah, if you can share some insights about that.
Again, it is with respect to culture, ethnicity, right?
Okay.
So again, India being, it's a multiple cultural diversity we see in India, which many other countries they don't have, right? So if you now do a cross section, I mean, as on today, you will on a superficial level, we will say that we are speaking 25 languages, but there are hundreds of such languages within India. People know
different dialects they work upon on the same language.
Absolutely. In Karnataka, if you see, we say that it's Kannada, right? But when you go into the North Karnataka, little into the interior, they speak a little different dialect, but Kannada only.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the variations I'm talking about. And you see their cultural background, their preferences are also different from the hardcore urban sect. Okay. In Karnataka, I'm saying. So likewise, every state will have so much variation, so much language, so much ethnicity, so much cultural differences, so much preferences. So there are many. So at a cross-sectional level, every state, if you address, you see there are probably 25 at least different variations you will see, minimum. So how do we collect this data? Yeah. So we have specific tools to collect this data. Now, if you want, through interest, if you want to understand how it works, then we have to go into the detailing of each of this and see how we collect the data. It's all about, again, collecting the data and then doing the analysis.
Which will eventually help us in framing or the framework of the
public policy. If you consider India, so there is public policy changes, so on and so forth, right?
Anything major impacts, we consider all the narratives over here.
Pardon me?
Since we're giving an example, so all these pointers, any sort of work what we are doing, since we're taking example as India or a particular state, depending on the ethnicity, depending on what they consume, depending on what has been the different focus group, then we work
accordingly.
On the
we
draft
work on
work.
Certain strategies.
Okay.
So we re-strategize, we change public policies, even if you consider the education space, we have the national education policy now after so many years.
Yeah, 64
right?
Almost.
After so many years, right? But they have been collecting data year after year, and so many sources. People, you have teachers, you have lecturers, you have students who have passed out, students are yet to join. So if you consider, there are so many sources. Okay, so after collecting huge data, huge data, you cannot say India is having huge population. And with a country with huge population, you cannot just rely on a small sample of information, right? So what you have to do is you have to have a huge cross section covered and also huge database to actually come to a decision to have a change in the policy.
Okay.
And therefore we had the NEP. Okay. Likewise, you
Considering
see
all the pros and cons, what has been
absolutely
the experience, what future
correct,
scholars
correct,
are telling, or what current, or what exactly is expected also,
absolutely. You may not
considering all.
know that at that large scale, they would
Yeah.
have used all possible qualitative tools and all possible quantitative tools
Point.
to have the collection of the data.
Correct. Perfect.
Okay, that's at a larger scale.
That's humongous there.
Absolutely.
And we can do the parallelly in our departments, in our team, at the more organizational level also. We can
That's at a
bifurcate.
more captive and focused level. You
Yes.
know people also there. You know, so in India, if you consider, you don't know people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do we know how many people around us we know? Okay, so that way, if you see, it's a lot of unknown sector.
Yes. Good, ma'am. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Chandru, yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, just to sum it up, can we say that the qualitative tools can be used to arrive at the big data?
So big data is a lot of data. Okay, in very simple term, big data is something which you, me, in a small scale cannot handle. And therefore, we have this terminology called big data. Now, quantitative is with respect to the numbers and different variations of that data. So big data can be quantitative. Big data can be qualitative. So qualitative is finally we are making a decision. Okay, but big data bases on what you have collected, okay, the quantity, the range, the variations, it will allow us to make certain concrete decisions. Okay,
I
so that is the qualitative part of it.
see.
Okay, what quality information we have got and what quality decisions we are making.
Got it, ma'am. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, even if I take this example of, you have not heard, asked me, any of you have not asked me about the photo voice. Participants use photography to express their experiences and perspectives. Now, at a very captive level in our organization setup, let's do a quick brainstorming to understand how we can use this particular tool, okay, as part of the design. Let me just, bring a little complication here. You are using the photo voice or photography as part of your design and also collecting the data with the application of the photography in your design. Can you think of a situation where you can use a photography? Which training module you can use a photography? Can you think of that?
You can use it in technical, ma'am. Technical line.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
technical
in other
line,
words, before you said
you
this,
have machineries, you have
Chandru has
equipment,
mentioned,
so,
yes, machineries. Where else? Others, where else? Where else?
in medical field.
Absolutely, where else? I think all the field we can use it. So let's understand where
All
else.
specifically, one or the other way, ma'am, it used as a part of understanding of the context in a much more factual way for us. The visualization becomes much easier for me as a common person, because it's a very colloquial terms in case if we differentiate, and can be, provided in a more different perspective. Now, Chandruji mentioned two specific areas. The same possible way, there are different versions of it. In certain areas, it goes way beyond, and in certain areas, it becomes very small, though impactful in understanding of the mindset, understanding of what exactly the other person has to offer as a mindset, which allows me to be more specific in implementing the strategies or implementing what sort of things will work out or what won't, and then we can go back to the same and re-strategize again.
Absolutely. So, say
Ma'am,
for
we can
example, you want to
also,
do a, sorry, yeah, tell
yeah,
me
we
please.
can also use photographs in product training and safety training by
Absolutely,
showing
all
the
of you are
safety.
right, spot on. Okay, so show and tell. If I say show and tell, so you show, it can be a PPT or it can be whatever, a material, a product itself, okay, and you give a demonstration. So demonstration could be one aspect of it. It could be show and tell. So suppose like, you want to have impromptu speech as part of your communication training. Okay, and there are people who are shy to speak in front of group, right? So for them, you can just, initiate this process of, okay, you don't have to tell anything. You just tell few lines about this particular picture. And they start developing their thoughts and they share something. So that's how a lot of things are addressed. One is the thought process is getting triggered. Second is that inhibition of speaking in front of the people, the behavioral aspects are getting addressed. Okay, they feel more confident. Next time they probably will want to speak without you pushing them. Okay, so a lot of changes, both hard business measures, we say, as well as the soft business measures get addressed in the process, right? So demonstration, as you correctly said, all of you, okay, medical related, any instruments or any, products, anything, any other products that we can have, we can just show them and tell about it. People get to know about the product, features and pros and cons, whatever. So these are the applications in your design. And then after you have implemented this demonstration method, you can take an input as to, you can collect certain inputs about what they learned. You can have certain quizzes, how much they learned, will they be able to apply? So you would be able to, do all of this as part of assessments, as part of evaluation. Okay, so these are again data collections, okay, by different assessment techniques or tools. So this you can actually blend it. Okay. Yes, Chandru.
Yes, ma'am. I was just going to share one more thing, as there is a very popular saying, picture speaks 1,000 words.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you will get multiple perspectives on a single picture.
Correct. That's
okay, so you had also this particular when we did the TAT and, I don't remember the other methods which we did in the first semester. Not remembering the name right now, but I think I mentioned in one of the sessions before that you have a particular scenario in front, and this is done in the military. Okay, so they want to understand your mental frame of mind, your mindset, your state of mind. Okay, when you are coming and writing the exams, right? Used in Indian Army, used in Indian Air Force, as well as sea. Okay, so in the entrance test, right? So they give you a picture and they tell you to write a small story. So you will see there are so many variations to that story. Somebody whose morning did not go well and they're writing this, they're seeing this picture, they will write a different story. Somebody's morning, which was really good, nice, then they see the same picture, they will write it differently. Okay, with a lot of energy, each tone, each word they write, it will, whoever is reading will feel that energy in the writing. Okay, so you see multiple variations. So picture speaks 1,000 words and it gives multiple perspectives. Okay, so yeah, I will take one or two more questions and then we'll move forward. Yes, Apurva.
So ma'am, you discussed about the demonstration method. So when you mentioned about that, I also do these sort of trainings where I, being a product trainer, since you were mentioning about the pictures, so those can also be used as a demonstration. And when we do it, ma'am, so every time the target audience which I have, which keeps on changing. So they also give us a lot of feedback that what could have been added or what is a must which you already have. So it becomes much easier for the specific person also to understand that what specific I need to work next time onwards, or what exactly my audience also wants to hear. You become
Absolutely.
much clearer with the vision. And every time when you go there for a discussion, every time when you go for, as you were mentioning about the negotiation, again negotiation also comes into parts, that how easy you can work on it, and what are the different frame of mindset which you have in front of you, and how clearly they are able to understand your needs and requirements there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Chandru.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to share that the previous the previous example that you just gave about the military, about the use of it in military and all that. We had that in our semester one in the experiential training methods.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Yes, you're right. Yes. Cognitive and experiential. So it's part of experiential. Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on with this case study. So we are just 23 of us, including me, 24. So we will have two groups. I'll just form two groups. Okay, and what you have to do is, you can read this first, all of you, and then we'll split into two groups, and each group will have this question. Okay, so group one will actually address this, which is
Sorry to interrupt,
identify
ma'am.
the issues, problem.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Can you please go back to the last slide? Like,
Yeah, you can take a photo, because once you go into the breakout room, you can
yeah,
discuss on the basis of that.
yeah, that's what I was doing. Yes.
Okay, good. So the team one will address this, which is identify issues, problems in this case, state issues, problem, incidents you have faced or heard of, or read somewhere, which is similar to or different from this case. And team two will talk about what are the learnings from this case, what are the do's and don'ts. Okay. So let's go back to take this photo also, so that team one, when we split the group, you have the question as well as the case study to discuss.
And can we please go back? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So this is the case. Please read it thoroughly. Okay, so once you have read, please let me know. I will open the breakout rooms. Okay, so everyone is ready? You've read?
One moment, ma'am.
Okay. Is it done? Everybody? Can we open the breakout rooms? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm creating 2 breakout rooms. Room 1 will be team 1. So you have question number 1 to address, and room 2 will have question number 2 to address. So you will have 20 minutes to discuss in the breakout room, and then we will come back to the main room. Okay, so one of you will be actually sharing the collated information in the main room. Okay, all set? Yes?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So you just have to join the rooms. Click on join, everyone. Not everybody has joined still. Kanhaiya Tiwari not joined. Then Sunil not joined. Jagannath, you have not joined. Mona Lisa, Pallavi, Saxena. Versatile Vinod, you also have not joined. Quickly join the rooms. Discussion must be on. Kanhaiya is back. What happened? You're back, Kanhaiya. What happened? I can again see Mona Lisa. Kanhaiya, you are in which room?
Yeah, don't know, ma'am. Actually, my network is malfunctioning, so that's why it automatically outed.
Oh, okay, network issue, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
So which room you are in, so that I can just help you join there? You are in room 1, I guess. Yeah. You are in room 1. So I'm just assigning you to room 1. Please accept her. You can join. You can rejoin. You can rejoin team 1. Pallavi, Mona Lisa, and Vinod. Yeah. So Pallavi is still here. Vinod is still here. Pallavi and Vinod, you are here in this session? Are you here? You can hear me? Okay, I can see Dilip Kumar Roy here. So Dilip, you have just come out of the breakout room or you just joined?
Ma'am, can you add me in the room too, ma'am? Just logged off due to the power cut.
Okay, I guess everybody is back. Okay, so you have all your team members in the room, right?
Yeah, 6, 7 were there.
Okay, so 2, 3 are missing. All right. So I don't know, maybe like they left the main room by mistake, or I don't know what happened. Anyways, okay, so let's we will discuss this a little while from now. We will just move on with our next discussion topic, which is about the models of training evaluation. Before we wrap up today, we will definitely take into account all your inputs, what you have discussed in the breakout room. And also I will share my inputs before we wrap up. But now what we will do is we will discuss about the models of training evaluation. Okay, so these are all what is there in your course. Okay, so Donald Kirkpatrick model, Jack Phillip model, Cyro model, Robert Brinkerhoff, Kaufman, Anderson success case study, action research, appreciative inquiry, AEIOU, as well as the systems thinking approach. So let's get into the first one, which is Kirkpatrick model. So Donald Kirkpatrick, he was the former president of American Society for Training and Development, ATD now, and he published his ideas behind the 4-level model in 1959. And there were multiple books that he has written, and the 3rd edition was in 2009. So this model is a widely used model, and many training professionals across industries, they are making use of this particular model for training evaluation. So what this model says, now if you see, it's a pyramid structure or a V, value chain. Okay, V, it's a V structure, value chain. Okay, so let's understand what is the first level. The first level is the reaction level, the broad base where the pyramid stands. So it clearly means that every organization or most of the organizations are doing this particular reaction level input data collection. Okay, so what this level does is measure your participants' initial reaction to gain an understanding of the training program and valuable insights into material, quality, educator, facility, and so on. Okay, so we will consider all these aspects while we are designing a training feedback form. Later on, not now. Okay, so then comes the learning phase. As the funnel says, that not many organizations are into level 2. Again, as the funnel says, if you see the 3rd level, not many organizations are again doing level 3, and level 4, it's very few. So again, as we discussed at the very beginning, what we require is an investment, okay, in terms of systems, in terms of time, in terms of resources, in terms of, when I say resources, it's again human resources. Again, it means the budget. Again, it means the machine, tools, etc., systems, everything. So there should be a proper budget plan with regards to executing all of this, including the 5th level, which is the ROI level, where you have to find out the monetary implications in terms of the delta change achieved. Okay, so now let's get into a little deeper into understanding what each of the phases or levels are doing. Okay, so level 1, as I said, how did participants react to the training? So you can find it out through various tools, questionnaires, scorecards, observation reports, and we have discussed about both tools, qualitative and quantitative measures, tools. Then comes the learning phase, where you understand how much knowledge acquisition has happened in terms of increase in knowledge, the little change in the skills development as well as the change in the attitude. So this you will find out in the learning phase, again, by application of certain tools. Behavior change. Now, behavior change, it is a time consuming process. You cannot find out the immediate change of behavior immediately the next day of the training program. Okay, so you have to have multiple data inputs at different stages over different scenarios, and you see the consistency and you see the pattern. Again, we are talking about the qualitative and the quantitative tools here. Okay, to understand if at all the change in behavior is consistent or it is just as at a superficial level. Okay, so something can be fabricated very easily as well. So it is definitely a matter of time, which will tell us that there is a change in behavior. If not 100%, at least there is some change in behavior, and we are able to understand that through these aspects. Okay, so this is a clear understanding of how the training effectiveness has been. Now, it can be an aggregation of multiple factors where you see a change in behavior has happened. May not be only the training which is responsible for that. So in that case, we will talk about what are the positive and negative influences which are not training related, which has helped in the development of the behavior, positive behavior. So we have to separate that out and only understand what is the efficacy of the training program, what has contributed to the change of a person's behavior from not so positive to a positive level. Okay, so that is the change in the behavior. Now, when we are talking about the learning application, that also happens in the level 3 stage. Okay, I have learned in terms of the cognitive. Now, remember the psychomotor level. Okay, we spoke about the 3 domains. Okay, the Bloom's taxonomy in the last session. The affective, the cognitive, and the psychomotor. Okay, so am I able to transfer the learnings to the workplace and achieve certain levels of change? Okay, that we can again find out through different sources and different tools. Okay, that is at level 3. And then comes the level 4, which is the metrics achievement level. Now, if you remember, again, I said that at the very beginning, we must know that these are the metrics I'm looking at to achieve at the final level, means after the training program. Okay, so that is, there should be a change in the number of accidents before and after. There should be a change in, the turnover before and after. There should be a change in the number of units produced before and after. So all this we must have at the beginning itself, and then you design and deliver and do the program accordingly. So now, when you are referring to those matrices, which you actually designed at the beginning or defined at the beginning, setting some criteria or whatever, okay, you are now analyzing at this level, which is the level 4. Okay, and here we are talking about, what is the delta change which has happened, okay, in terms of reduction in the number of adverse events or decrease in the cost or increase in production units and so on and so forth. Okay, or sales increase before and after. So all of that, getting the old customers back before and after. Again, these are all matrices, the result evaluation. Okay, so this you will do at level 4. We will talk about level 5 here. So this is the level 5 where you see, now you just reverse the pyramid. Okay, you just reverse the pyramid. That's why I've mentioned the arrow over there. The diagram is a little wrong here. We just have to reverse the pyramid to align it with the dots. Okay, so reaction level is the bottom one where it's the base of the pyramid. Okay, so all 4 levels are same, even in the ROI model, which is the Jack Phillip model. The 5th level is with regards to the monetary impact. Okay, converting the impact into money value. Okay, so again, where the cost in terms of the money will come, benefits in terms of the money, rupees, the currency, I mean. Okay, when I say money means the currency part. Okay, so cost in terms of currency, we have to calculate. And again, benefits in terms of currency, we have to calculate. Okay, and then we have to find out the ROT, which is the return on training investment, or ROI. So ROI is there everywhere, whether it's training, whether it's a product development, whether it's a professional services, whether it's marketing, strategy, everywhere there is a ROI. Okay. Yes. So Jagannath has raised a hand. Yes, Jagannath.
Yes, what I wanted to ask is when we are talking about the KSA, and if we want to correlate that KSA with these four and five stages. So what I'm saying is, if we are taking K, that is knowledge for the first reaction, then for behavior we can allocate the attitude, and skills we can take it to the ROI. Means
okay,
if the
so let's not departmentalize it that way. Knowledge, yes. So knowledge will be at level 2 actually. See, reaction is a very superficial level. Say, for example, you have just attended a training program, okay? And there would be a simple feedback with a smiley, flat face, reverse smile, and a smile. Okay, this also can be just at a reaction level, not getting deeper. Okay. When I say deeper means, then you get all those areas where was the course material relevant, where the course materials relevant, was the trainer knowledgeable, is the facility convenient, was the food, yeah. So you are getting it now into the little deeper into the reaction level. Okay, but it is a superficial aspect where we are not assessing anybody's knowledge. Knowledge is assessed only in the learning phase. What you have consumed, have you understood? Will you be able to rephrase it if you are told to rephrase it and tell what you have understood? So that comes as part of the knowledge, K. Okay. Now, when I say about the S and A, KSA, right? Or you can say it as ASK as well. So when S and what is the other one? A is coming, attitude and skill is coming into picture. Level 3 is where we see the application part. Did a change of behavior happen? So we are talking about the attitude. Did the person now psychomotor skills? So the learning, what I have learned, like, when I was talking about the photography part, right? The demonstration part. So I have learned it through demonstration. It's not still kinesthetic in nature. Okay, it is still absorption in the mind. Now, how you will apply? So after I have learned how to operate the product through some demonstration techniques, which was shown to me, now let me go into the spot, into the field, and actually run the product or the machinery, right? So that is the transfer of learning at the workplace. So how efficiently I'm able to do that? Now, if I bring in technology, I can have AR, VR and all that. Okay, where it can be as part of the design, as part of the delivery. And with the AR, VR, you have learned how to operate, because when you just wear the glass, okay, as you just scroll down, the glass shows the instructions over there. Okay, you have understood it in the mind. But unless you have the machinery in front, you have not tested it yourself, whether you are able to do it. So when you are actually in the lab with the glass on, now you actually try it. Okay, now without that glass on, are you confident to actually do it without seeing anything or without anybody's reference or without anybody's supervision? Okay, so that is the kind of expectation we have at level 3. Okay, and with that approach, okay, even habit. See, there is something called A, S, K, and H. Okay, so H is nothing but a habit. Habit is a process which is developed through continuous intervention in cyclical manner, right? So repeated intervention in cyclical manner, then only a person develops a habit. Okay. So now this again, level 3 is heavy on that habit development as well.
Right.
With that approach, with all of this, now what is the tangible and intangible impact I see, which is at level 4? Now the tangible and intangible aspects, we will discuss about that. But the tangible and intangibles, okay, can you convert them into the delta change in terms of the money or the currency,
Yeah.
which is
Profit
visible,
part.
right?
Mhm.
That we are talking about the ROI part. This is how the discretely, if you see, it is doable. But if you see on a holistically, we are running 20 programs in a year. I'm just giving some number. You will be overwhelmed. How will I generate results for that? How will I generate change in behavior? But if you go in a very focused approach, okay, one training, that's why I said resource. Okay, resource in terms of a dedicated resource to do these activities. Maybe like depending on the shared resource you can work, or you can also find out how much any resource is occupied. Basis on that, you can allot these programs, 5 programs or 2 programs, you're responsible end to end to understand the impact and do the impact analysis. Okay, apply whatever tools, do whatever measures. Okay, so you might have to think accordingly, re-strategize, and actually think it in a very focused approach with one program at a time.
Even more, like you mentioned about the tangibles and intangibles, tangible can be the ROI and ROTI, which while we will be calculating it in actual monetary
Because it is
terms,
easier, absolutely.
easier.
So the hard business measures, it is easier to calculate. Soft business measures, we have to map it with the hard business measures. We will see some examples.
Yeah, and behavior and learning, I think it will be intangible only because
absolutely, it is on the broad level intangibles, but we have to associate. I think we discussed in one of the sessions that you associate it with the hard business measures. Then it becomes easier to measure.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Chandru, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So I was just kind of, I would say, just wanted to share this. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Can we refer that to as the qualitative tools and the level 4 as the quantitative tool?
Quantitative as well as qualitative, level 4. Today, if there is an increase in the number of productions, you will say, hey, it's going good. Good is nothing but qualitative mention, right?
Correct.
Okay, so both quantitative and qualitative at level 4.
I see. Okay.
Okay. In fact, qualitative also at level 3. Why not? Because if there is a change in behavior, we say that the person has changed. There is a change in mindset I see in the team. There is so much of energy I can see in the team.
But is that
these are all qualitative terminologies?
Is that measurable, ma'am?
That's what I said. We have to map it with the hard business measures. We will see some examples how we can do that.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Acquisition of knowledge at level 3. Yes, with a test. If you have some technical test, you would be seeing the change in the score. Right? So that's how we can understand there's a acquisition of knowledge. All right. Or again, with that example of photography, or you mentioned about the experiential learning. Okay, we projective training methods. I remembered projective training methods. I guess you remember that.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So if suppose, as a practice, you want to just show certain situation or scenario and tell a person show and tell. First time he is facing an audience. Okay. You would be able to see the difference before and after. If not 100%, at least there is a 5% change. That also you record.
Correct.
Okay. So that's how we can measure all of this. So it is quantitative as well as, now if you see the change happening, what happens? Isn't that you discuss, you guys, all of you who have actually designed this program and want this person to actually, come and show the confidence and be more confident after one intervention, one such attempt. What do you all discuss? You definitely discuss, hey, you have done well. You will do it better next time. Let's do another one tomorrow. So these are what qualitative aspects that we are sharing.
Correct. Got it. Yeah.
So quantitative is there everywhere. Otherwise, it will be super biased.
True.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Okay. So this we will cover in the next session. Okay, and also the hard business measures, the soft business measures, and how we can actually measure the soft ones with mapping the hard business measures. We'll all discuss. We have a lot of time. Next sessions onwards, we'll discuss about all of this. We will now discuss about what we discussed in the breakout room. But before we get there, Jagannath has a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
one more question is about the appreciative inquiry that you mentioned.
Yes,
at the
that
start
also
of
we
the
will cover,
session.
don't worry.
Uh,
So we have, I think, 2-3 sessions we will take for this only. Okay.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. So teach back. What we will do is we will take up, I will share teach back topics today, so that one of the sessions, I mean, every day I'll ask if next session we are not ready, I will ask again next session to prepare it and deliver the next session. But we have to do this, remember? So the teach back method, and if we are ready in the next session, well and good, we'll do it off. Okay. So AEIOU model, one team, that is team 1. Today's team 1. Okay, we had gone to the breakout room, right? The same team,
Yes, ma'am.
team 1. You know your teammate's name.
Yes.
Okay, who are there, right? So please take up AEIOU model as a teach back topic. Okay, so prepare a presentation. Whatever examples you want to give, please share that to explain this to us. Just assume that we don't know anything. None of us know anything. Okay, so team 1 is going to study this and teach us in the next session. Agreed, team 1? Anyone can do. So it's a teamwork.
Okay.
You can go
Okay.
back, form a small group, whatever, or
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
it's up to you.
Will do.
So, and prepare a small presentation, which is of 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. And you can also decide who is going to present it. I leave it to you completely.
Okay.
It's an adult principle. I leave it to you. I don't want to direct anything. Just the impact has to be created. That's all. And we should learn something. That's all.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So that's all, even for team 2. Okay. So team 2 will take up systems thinking approach. So today's team 2, again, you know each of your teammates. Please connect offline. Get this done. Team 2, there is no vibration, I can feel. Somebody should say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
We have to
there should be a
find-
vibration. Otherwise, how will I know? Anyway, we are conducting this online. I can't see any of you. Some vibrations only will allow.
Ma'am.
It's like, silent. You make your mobile silent. If you receive the call, some vibration only will allow you to know something, that something has come.
Ma'am, there was no vibration in the team 2 in the breakout room as well. Everybody was not there, just 2 of us were talking.
Why? Because it was a speed brainstorming. So I think speed brainstorming, all these vibrations die down probably. I
It
don't
is
know.
on silent mode, not on vibrator mode. It is on silent.
So that's why it was not brainstorming. It was a speed brainstorming, so that the energy flows.
So this is our homework, ma'am. Homework.
Yes, so take it as a homework. And
Homework.
please do a speed brainstorming whenever possible, so that there is an energy across.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, so AEIO model taken up by team 1 and systems thinking approach taken up by team 2. I have the names also. Please be ready. No excuses. Okay. So we will wrap up. It's 3:30. We'll wrap up today. Any questions till what we have covered? We have covered today Kirkpatrick and little bit of Jack Phillip. Okay, we will continue with Jack Phillip's model from next session onwards again. Don't worry, we will cover all of this, excepting last 2, which you have taken up and you are going to explain to us. Okay, so let's have only 5 minutes to discuss about what we did in the breakout room. Okay. Let me just go back to this. Sorry. I stopped sharing. 1 minute. Okay, so quickly, what are the do's and don'ts? Let's start with team 2. What are the do's and don'ts? One by one, you can say. I'm not typing anything. So one by one, you can say. You can unmute and say. What are the do's and don'ts from this case study? What are the learnings? Team 2.
Mr. Kulkarni, please go ahead.
Okay, what we have discussed about the do's is the after doing the TNA, it is very important to know your
Louder, please.
participant.
Little
No,
louder.
I'm saying after doing
Yes.
the TNA, the most important part is the know your participant. That is very important. And while assigning the project to them, the proper placement or proper allocation is more important. So that is in the do's. In don'ts, again, we have talked about the not deploying them properly. This is what we discussed. Again, the conflict between the objective and outcome that was discussed in the morning session also. So that also we discussed what the trainer or training institute is intended to achieve and what has been the actual outcome. And the gap between these two happens only when we are not following these rules. So it is important for that.
Okay.
And about this deployment, like I just want to elaborate a little more about the deployment is placing the proper person in proper place, post position. That is important, and it is important for any kind of organization, for that matter. If we are failing into that deployment, then the results are horrible. Thank you.
Okay, good. Anybody else who wants to add?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to add. Actually, to be very honest, I couldn't understand too much of do's and don'ts from the case because everything looked fine to me only. Just the last part where the participants were expressing their apprehension that if the reports are shared with so many officials, then they might get penalized and they might fall victim to biases. So in that, I do agree to that, but at the same time, some kind of a report will have to be shared to certain immediate seniors and the director of the HR. Only then they can take a call as in who's fit to be in the leadership role or not. So that one part, which was in the end that now the reports is just for the individual purpose and it will be just shared with the participants for their own personal growth and professional growth, which is very important. But at the same time, it has to be also shared with the right officials so that they can pinpoint who's the right candidate for the right job and who's fit to be a leader.
Okay. Now, in this example, you saw that it led to a particular situation like that, right? So to avoid creating that kind of, disturbance in the team, what we could have done before, so that those surprises don't happen, right? See, if suppose some communication had gone before to the team that we are going to prepare progress reports, we are going to share it to the respective managers, skip managers, then people would be knowing, aware, and then this kind of situation at the end would not happen. So a clear communication wouldn't have been done that time. That's the reason this kind of complication would have arisen. Right? Otherwise, it wouldn't have come into the picture. Okay. You got it?
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. So they came to know at the end that now their reports will be shared, not during the training or before.
Exactly. It should not come as a surprise to them. I mean, see, it's obvious that we must share the report. Okay. Right. We know it from our side. And sometimes what happens is we know it, but we assume that they also understand it. It's not always like that. Right. So sometimes the communication has to happen much in advance. That these are the expectations from you. These are what we are expecting. This is what we will do. And it should not come as a surprise. So if the surprise element is taken care of at the very beginning as part of the communication, then these kinds of things may not arise.
Okay. And ma'am, one more thing that just popped into my head is that I think since 1 year is a long time, so there should be some periodic assessments as well, so that they can come to know whether they want to tweak the program, they want to bring some changes in the training as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have to re-strategize.
Yes.
So the learning from this cases, we need to strategize. We need to have multiple such interventions. Our interventions to see where it's going right, where it's going wrong, where some improvements can be done in terms of design, delivery, change. If suppose you have planned for 1 year, you might have to see, I cannot repeat the same faculty maybe, in the middle of this session.
Exactly. Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I might bring in somebody who does this and is an expert in this. So you bring him that. Those tweaks have
Right.
to be done because 1 year is a too long time.
Too long time. Yes.
Just sit on that. You cannot sit
Yes.
on that. You have to continuously
ma'am.
evaluate. So these are the
Absolutely,
learnings.
ma'am.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the reason I gave the case. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So I think, okay, so I think point 1 also will have similar such highlights. You have anything different? Then you please add. Team 1.
Ma'am, for our side, just give me a second. Sheet. Ma'am, for us, we had to identify the issues. So as you mentioned over there, certain time when these sort of changes happen from the employee perspective, right? So it's a very overwhelming nature for an employee also. That all of a sudden how things are happening across, what will happen. There's a lot of confusion, miscommunication, and misunderstanding between the employee and the management as well.
True.
Right? So when you were giving example of the mid-management or the senior mid-management, sometimes the communication doesn't follow through that channel as well. So it creates an overwhelming nature with which we can also emphasize towards the surveys. Now, usually what happens, ma'am, whenever there is any change supposed to happen, then they start communicating to the employees very closely.
True.
That, oh, how things are there, is it running fine, do you require anything, a lot of questionnaires comes across. Now, could be on a personal level or could be on a professional level as well. Now, when it happens on a regular interval, the employee mindset is set, oh, that it's bound to happen, and I have to be honest towards the feedback of the company as well. So it creates a different version when all of a sudden it's a startling moment for an employee too. Another change, another emphasization which I got through the session, the leadership style plays a very crucial role. I know I am going to change a lot of things. I know it from the start when all these started, but how do I make everybody under control, under calm, that you need not to panic. This is bad for you. You need to understand this is a long term, since you mentioned, we can't sit on it, right? So rather than waiting for 1 year and then coming back and saying, oh, it didn't work out the way we want, it's better we emphasize from the root. We were discussing about the ROI there. So the root cause has to be clearly mentioned that these is what the expectations which I believe from you right now.
Absolutely.
And coming back to the same, ma'am, very important, every employee, when these mindset change, ma'am, they look for certain changes. That's why people leave. Iteration also happens a lot. So when this comes across, we also have to keep in mind that what motivation or what appreciations I'm giving to the employees.
Absolutely.
Because
so it's a complete understanding what is going right, what is left out, what we are not doing. So 1 year is a long time to wait, And also you might have to think whether this program we should run for 1 year or not.
Exactly. Because it's a lot of cost which I'm giving on a human, which might come across as a wonderful employee to me. And in between the transition process also, major of the people drop out. That, oh, I don't want to work with this sort of organization, or I don't want to put myself in that zone where I'll be questioned. Few people are comfortable towards the constructive feedback, and there are few who, if you kind of provide them multiple levels, they will not be very happy about that.
Very true. Very true. Very good observations. Thank you. So to add to what you all said, anything else? Sorry.
Just ma'am, last, constructive feedback is something which I feel has to be put across at every level of the human resource department. Everywhere, starting from different cross-functional ideas which we share, has to be quite open there. So thank you.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Completely agree to what you said, your perspectives. So these are certain additional points as well. There might have been a lack of transparency and lack of communication about what is it in it for me. If that clarity is not there, because these are the senior folks, what is it in it for me? So I have mentioned what is it in it for them. Okay, and the structure of the program. Maybe that was not clearly communicated. See, a mail, it's very difficult for people to register that. Okay, are you running? Do you remember, when we are talking about achieving high outcomes, what are the different activities that you can do? Pre-training, during training, post-training. We discussed this at length in this last session, right? So those activities will actually create that vibe. Just a mail shoot out that this is the structure, and you thinking that people should have read it. People should have understood. Nobody asked me this question, so everybody understood. So that's an assumption. Okay,
Yes.
you don't know if they have at all opened that mail, if they have at all read that mail. Even if they had questions, are they asking you? They're, so you don't know. You are in a, gray area. But you are assuming that everybody has understood. I have done my job. Tick mark. I have sent a mail today which was supposed to be done. Okay, so those pre-session or course activities to create that vibe, to have them understand the program, to have them understand the expectations. Okay, so all of that has to be done, channelized through those pre-course and pre-session activities. Okay, so that has to be done very well. So maybe that was not done. Okay, and these are the senior folks we are talking about, mid-management, senior leaders. They come with loads of experience, yeah, and you cannot just play. You cannot play with their time. Please remember that. So therefore, pre-session activities and creating that energy and vibe and building that clarity is very important. Purpose. What is it in it for me, and the big picture of aligning them with the business plans and objectives. How it's going to impact the business. Okay, may not have been clearly communicated by their managers. It can also happen that you have told that please communicate this to the team, to your team. Managers are already loaded with a lot of work. They may not have done it, or they will be doing it just one night before the course start date. Okay, that's too late. People are not mentally prepared to consume that from their managers at that point of time, maybe, right? So a comfortable time wherein managers discuss with their team members about this is the program and this is what we are expecting. This is the matrices we have designed, which we will see at the end of the training program, what changes are happening, how you are going to apply in the new project. Okay, so I'm not taking any more resource, thinking that you will actually gear up after this training and you will execute this. So all of these detailed discussions managers must have. Also HR, learning and development team through one-on-one discussions and in team meetings to iron differences. Okay, so all of that. Then conversations before training could have been good as it starts to set expectations. Okay, conversation. I'm not saying email communication, conversations. Failed to get a buy-in among the learners initially, hence a course correction was called for to address fear and concerns and all of that. Communication was incomplete to the participants, even if it was done. Program flow and structure may not have been shared to the team in advance, giving them time to understand and read them well. How the evaluation would be conducted may not have been explained in advance. Mentor or accountability buddies may not have been assigned. Midterm performance checks informing on progress report may not have been informed. Multiple touch points in between may not have been done, right? So these are certain things. Okay, now with respect to point 2, training need analysis and identification. We must do it well. Many organizations, you will also agree that they have certain, checklist items, okay, which needs to be just done. Okay, how much time we are spending on actually doing the deep analysis on understanding organization needs, business needs, team needs, individual needs. So at all levels, learner level, organization level, team level, function level, all of that. Are we doing deep dive to understand the need analysis and needs, and then doing the analysis and identify the training topics or modules, right? And the different methodologies to have a blended learning, to have a good learning. Business context, keeping it in forefront and aligning the goals to it. Okay, so this we must do. T&A and I we must do. Converting non-interested participants to interested ones. So what are the different strategies? You know, again, pre-training activities have to be really creative. We have discussed that, which can actually convert some, or not maybe all, but some of the non-interested participants to interested participants. Having clear conversation with participants before launching program, work on loopholes learnings from the last programs, broadcast complete information, course curriculum, structure, what is it in it for them, attendance, that you will capture attendance, how each phase will progress, basic information overview, assessments, evaluation process, expectations with the team members, also with the managers, so that managers can give the right information, pass it on, cascade it down to their team members appropriately. Okay, mention that the objective of having this program is what? What is the bigger objective? We want to move them from good to great. So everybody will want to achieve that. Okay, everybody is at a good level. We want to move from good to great. Okay, so we want everyone to move from good to great, which is possible only with your wholehearted participation during the duration of the entire course. Bringing participants into confidence that even if one falters, there are still one. So this is the progress report. So progress report, you see that, you know, at one phase, the progress report of one individual was not that great. So you have to bring them to confidence. If suppose one progress report is not up to the expectation, no worries. There are still 1 or 2 or 3 more or 5 more where you can actually level up. Take inputs, and this can happen only with this, right? Multiple touch points. Take inputs from learners as well, since they are senior leaders. Okay, so these are the things we must do. Just to gist, HR and line managers must instill trust among the participants, share information on how the evaluation or assessment will be done and purpose of evaluation, rework on the program schedules. So it may not be a 1 year. It can be done in 9 months. It can be done in 7 months, right? It can be done in different approaches. So rework on the program schedules if need be to make the course more engaging, more interactive, more immersive, and there should be time for implementation in between modules. Okay, objectives of the LDP to be mentioned clearly to all participants before the pre-course work. Why LDP is, by the way, LDP is Leadership Development Program. So why LDP is important for the participants, how this LDP is connected to the bigger organizational goals, turnkey projects, brand positioning, market presence, etc. Top-down approach to LDP communication. Participants taken into confidence. Success of any program depends on the stakeholder approach. Okay, so discussion about how the learnings could be applied at workplace and overcome any current impediments or roadblocks. Ensure each participant evaluation data is kept confidential. Okay, because you should not share the progress report in front of all the managers in a manager meeting. So these kinds of sensitive decisions you have to take wisely. Okay, explain how LDP could be useful for personal and professional growth. Okay, so these are some of the learnings, do's and don'ts from this particular case study, which we can experiment in our future programs and approaches. All right, so any questions? Otherwise, we are wrapping up now. We'll meet up in the next session. Yeah, any questions?
Ma'am, actually, I do have a question.
Yes.
Like you said, there should be multiple touch points and, the feedback should be there. So, ma'am, let's assume that some 3 to 4 months of training is over and they've, they're done with the first component, and then they want to judge and test whether the candidate on job is able to perform and has imbibed the crux of the training. So will that candidate will have, do we have to put him or her in a leadership role just after 3 to 4 months just to test whether he or she would be fit
in a situation? Absolutely, in a situation.
So, ma'am, that as like if we are the trainers, how can we dictate that the company per se will have to decide internally, right? As
So
trainers,
you
we
have
can't
to
dictate that.
Correct. You cannot. I'm saying you should dictate anywhere. But what I'm saying is you then catch up with the participants' manager and find out what kind of situation you can give to that particular leader. Suppose that leader is an individual contributor. He's very good in contributing individual tasks, but he is not a team manager. So you have a module now about team management, building cohesive teams, and so on and so forth. Now you give those managers this assignment. This is a dummy project. There is a situation. I have a situation that, the team is not gelling well. There is a lot of friction within the team. So what do you think? How would you approach this if you were in a situation? So it's like more of a behavioral event interviewing. So you can ask, not in a formal interview, but generally you can ask, how do you think? What is your perspective now after the training program? What learnings from the training you can apply in such situation or scenario? So you can have such conversations.
Conversations. So nothing like on the job, actual giving them some kind of a project to judge whether they...
Real-time scenarios you can give and ask how you would approach that scenario in a different way.
Okay.
See, they going through a LDP means it opens up thoughts, it opens up ideas. So with the ideas that they have gathered during this LDP, given this particular complicated situation in front of them as a event, which I place in front of one or two people, are they thinking differently than the current manager who is handling that team? And will that approach solve that purpose? So if the skip manager thinks it's a brilliant idea he came up with, let me try this and let me share it with the current manager and ask him to try it in his, because he's still there in the LDP. He's not anyway coming up and starting the team management immediately from day 2 or day 1, right? His time is still there. So let him now use this approach and see if it's changing. So the current manager can come back to the skip manager and say, I see some change in the team with this approach. So these kinds of situations can be given, definitely can be given. Real-time, these are real-time situations. Conflict handling, conflict management in a team. Or he can create a situation where he's saying that I have got a new project. We have got a new project, not I have got a, the business has got a new project, and we are we are thinking of building a new team. Suppose like he has gone through our formation of team activity. Activity or module as part of the LDP. Formation of team. Building cohesive team, right? Now let's see what he does in his approach. We have the 5-step approach in how you can form a team. Form, norm, storm, all that, right? Adjoring and all that, right? So now let's see what is his thinking approach in building the team. So that will actually tell us how much he has learned from the sessions. Now, given that I have a project tomorrow, actually, I have him actually onboarded as a team manager. Will he actually not be able to deliver forming a team at least? You understood? So these are the different situations that you can place in front of those people, which are real-time practical scenarios.
Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So you have to, so now I will say that, backend, the learning and development function must create multiple such scenarios and keep it ready. Work with the managers, or you have your observation power. Pick it up from there, from the environment. And build small cases. Caselets. Use these caselets during the session, after the session, or in front of the manager. Understand whether with the learnings, if he's able to solve problems, make better decisions. And then you can put him on conference to real-time project and real-time situations. So at the back end, as L&D in the function personnel, you must have all these small caselets also ready with you, which are on the ground cases, practical cases, not hypothetical, not theory. These are all relevant. It's happening. So any doubts again? Else, we are wrapping up today. Thank you all for your participation. Have a good week. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. The session was amazing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
For your participation too.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, ma'am.
Have a happy
Thank you.
weekend.
Wish you the same. Bye.